Hello everyone. Welcome back to more the Artisan of Glimmith. We did this area, some of it. Yesterday, what was here? It was like Solitude? Is that what I was doing? Is that what this is? Oh, let's have a crack at a 5. Why not? Yeah, Solitude. That's the new thing. There, those can't touch, so we have to have this. These can't touch, so we have that. That one's nice and simple. There's no call to cordon that off. It just can't go here. Oh, speaking of which, that can't go here. Oh. So this cell has to be from this 5. No other clue can reach it, so let's do that. These are different 4s. Interesting. I'm not sure what to make of that yet. This cell... It almost has to be reached by this 5, but the 6 could get up there, right? And the 5 would have just enough breathing room. Although, that would probably ruin this, wouldn't it? No. Yeah. Because now that you could do this, but this cell is untouchable. So the 6 actually can't reach up here. And we can say that this 5 takes that corner piece. This cell can only be gotten to by a 7 here. Is that true? Could this get all the way over there? No, the 7 is strangled if you do that. Oh, plus this can't go over itself. Okay, so the 7 does have to go there. But I don't think you can say the same about this because... Well, maybe you could. Because if you did this... Yeah, it leaves just enough space for the 7. But you end up ruining this 2. So I don't think you can do that. I think the 7 has to go here, but I don't like the way that I proved that. Let's think about something else, because the fact that this can't get into here seems pretty important, actually. All of this stuff, like this whole corner of the grid, has to be dealt with by this 2, this 7, and this... What is that, an S? I think? No other symbols can reach. Well, that's not true. This could reach. Okay. So maybe I can't do a ton there yet. This cell... This Z can't get there, because while it could, it would cordon off this square. I guess something to ask is, who goes here? It can't be this because of the wall. And I don't think you can arrange a Z that does this without crossing over some wall, right? Like, if it does this, it has to go like this, and it can't. So in fact, this cell belongs to this 4. Which means this 4 cannot reach this cell. But either this Z or this 4 could reach it, so I'm not quite sure what to do with that. I guess I do know, though, whatever it is has to get out. Also, like, in this region here, we're quite constricted. Like, this Z cannot get here because it can't move in either direction out of this. So that has to be true. This cell has to be gotten by the Z, doesn't it? Because how could you do this? You could only complete the F by taking this square, but there's a wall in the way. So I think that's true. And this should tell us the shape of this Z exactly, right? It can't go like this, because there'd be a 4 there. So this has to be like kind of the stem of the Z, not one of the little things sticking off, not one of the offshoots at the ends. So it has to be shaped exactly like that. No. Oh, right, this has to get out, so it comes to this 4, sure. So this 4 has to come up here, and then I guess it has to take this region, or this cell. We have this. Now, this shape is finished, right? You have to do that. There's no other way to make an F. Yeah, I guess all these places where there are 2 polyominoes, there's several of these little 3x2 rectangles. Maybe these would have been good starting points. I mean, I don't know. I think all the stuff I've done so far has been reasonable. I don't think it's like the wrong way to solve the puzzle necessarily, but these are fruitful avenues to explore, I think. Like this can never reach here, so we have to do this at least. This plus can also never reach there. Now that's the corner of this sticky outy thing. So it either does this or this. So it can't take like either of these cells, right? So that's our plus. This 5 has to do that at least, and also this. Huh. I see. I was thinking this little interface, like, looks a little bit too flexible, doesn't it? Like, how could you uniquely... The 3 could go in several different directions. You know, it could take more or less of this to allow either the 5 or this yellow to come here. And so how are you ever going to solve that uniquely? And the answer is this cell. The 3 can't get here. This guy's not allowed to cross over the wall, so it actually has to be an extension of this region. And that pushes the 3 at least a little bit. Although I'm still not sure it's enough. Right? No, I guess, okay, the point is... This 5 can take at most 1 of these cells. And the 3 can take at most 2 of them, and there's still 1 more left to take, so you have to take it. And the 5 does have to take this cell, and this comes up. There's no reason I can connect that. What am I doing? Oh! I talked about this cell a while ago, but it was in the context of how I could get this to come out. But more importantly, who the hell gets in here? Earlier, no, I guess there was no good reason. Well, yeah, I guess earlier it could have been this, right? We could have had a region that went like this for our S, but now we can't. The 7 has to get in there. What? That's not right. Something's messed up. I can't complete this region, can I? Oh, I can, just barely, if I do this. Got it. So now we have all this. That's everything the 7 can take. So the 2 has to go there, and this has to fill in. Now I know the orientation of this piece. It has to come this way. This 3 can't reach any further than here, so this has to come down to at least there. And we'll resolve these 2 cells by figuring out how much of the 3 extends outward. Okay, so we have to look at this. This cell can't be part of this, surely. Yeah. It's got to go that way. It's got to be part of this. Now, this can't be the corner of this L, because it can't send a long leg this way, and it can't send a long leg up, and it can't send a long leg down. So actually, the corner is here. Well, okay. More to the point, like you could do this, but you can't branch up or down because this leg is not long enough yet, so it has to go to here. And now, since it can't get this 3, that's how you prove that it has to do this, which I had seen, but... And I just sort of claimed, oh, it has to do this, but I was like, you know, I should show them why. Okay. Now, this cell here can't be touched by this, and this can no longer get there, so only the 3 can do this. And that's the 3 finished. So those regions have to extend into the rest of the space. Now we have this shape, which I don't want in blue. This 5 now has to go here, and this is finished. This 6 has to take that cell and all of these cells. If it took this one, it would have to miss one of these, but no one else could get in. I guess this is the only way you can fill in this region, this area. Okay, nice. Knock out a little 5. Feel good about yourself for solving it. It felt like I was making steady progress the whole time. Well, where to begin? It looks like the center of the puzzle is the most restricted. Because almost any other cell, you can see like, oh, you know, maybe one of these palisades could get there somehow, right? So I don't think you can really rule out too much about like what this cell is. Maybe it's this 4, maybe it's this palisade, who knows? Actually, maybe these palisades are more interesting than I thought. Because, like, look at this cell and this cell. Only one of them can be gotten by this palisade, right? And what other cell is supposed to take it? Take the other one, right? Well, or what other region is supposed to take it? This 4 could grab one of these. Either one, really. But if it took this one, of course, we sort of have... Well, maybe that would be okay. We could do this. But then this whole area is stranded, so it doesn't work. Anyway, So these two cells, one of them can be gotten by the 4, and I think it has to be this one. No, hang on. So one of them is gotten by this palisade. But the other one has to be gotten either by this 4 or by this V. Right? And the same is true over here. You know, one of these could be gotten by this 4. And, you know, one, or I guess like this one. And this V could just barely reach one as well. So each of these has like 2 neighbors, and it visits one of them. And the other one is very difficult to reach for any other cell. So it restricts quite a lot what these regions can do. One of them has to extend out towards the palisade. And I suppose, like, imagine the palisade was the one that got one of these regions. Now you really can't do the middle of the grid at all anymore. You need these palisades to take up quite a lot of space, right? How big is this grid? 6 by 7 is 42, minus 8 is 34. I have 8 accounted by these 4s, and another 10 here is 18. These palisades have to take up a total of 16 cells between them. Now, if you do, like, this palisade is hugely restricted. And in the center, like, it's just hell, right? How are you going to get, like, a region here? I guess you could go there. No, right. This would have to be walled off. Oh my god. So, I mean, you could just barely handle something like this. Maybe. With, like, this 4. But... yeah, that doesn't actually work. So... I guess then the point is you need regions on both sides of these things. The 4s can just barely reach one of the sides of the wall. And if they do, they ruin things. They ruin this palisade, right? Now, neither of these squares can be gotten by anyone but the palisade. I guess we could do that, and then this, but then this is toast. Oh, okay, right. So, I was claiming that this V could reach over here to help with the palisade, but it just can't. Because it would have to cut this off. So, in fact, it is the 4 that gets to this cell or this cell. So it can't get here, right? And if this cell tries to come... yeah. It ends up, if it wants to be on either side of this wall, which I guess would have to be this one, it stops, it doesn't take one of these 2 cells, and it stops the V from taking one of them. So neither 4 can touch either of these walls. Which I think is going to mean that the 2 palisades and these 2 pentominoes are probably going to have to be what touches the 2 sides of the walls. There don't, strictly speaking, have to be 4 different regions here, right? We could have something like this. And only 3 regions, right? But I don't think you can actually do that. Maybe you can. But I think you're going to end up needing this and this to leave your palisades flexible enough to do all the stuff they have to do. And who takes this cell if the 4 doesn't, which I proved it doesn't. It has to be this palisade. Because the V could do it, but of course it would leave a problem, right? So now we know this, which means the plus has to come in here. This region has to be that. Ugh. Ugh. I broke it. I broke it. This V cannot be V-shaped anymore. Well, I mean, I guess it doesn't have to connect up here. It could connect there, but that doesn't help the V, really, right? So maybe let's back up to the beginning. I claimed this 4 has to come here. That clearly is not rigorously justified. It just seems like it kind of has to. But then doing it led, I think, pretty inexorably towards a contradiction. I mean, already, I guess, having done this, I've forced the exact layout of this V to be this. Right? So maybe this 4 does something slightly different than what I had before, I don't know. But this palisade now has to come here. It can't go there. So we still need this plus. Only this palisade can reach in here. This palisade can't reach there. And so it looks like it's either this or this 4, which both ruin things. Right? Because I can't quite fill this area in. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like as soon as I do this, I get a contradiction. Which is surprising. You end up having to do this. Oh, no, you don't. You could do this. I see. That might be better. Well, I don't know if this plus is forced there yet. Oh, yeah, it is, because right, this V now moves it over as well. You have to do this. Extend it for at least some distance. I guess I'm not sure how far. This 4 has to take that cell. Oh, this V is done. So then we have to take that and this. Yeah, and that does work. Okay. So I was right about what this 4 has to do, but wrong that both of the 4s have to do that. And then once I made this assumption, I went down a couple of false assumptions, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. Where it looked like there was only one move to make, but actually there was more than one. Oh, the puzzle's so big. Oh. Well, that's an easy start. So this is about area. There's at least a little bit here about area counting, right? This region has 15. Well, this area has 3 regions totaling size 15, which means this needs to take 6 cells. So it needs at least these 3. Let's make the center guy purple. Much easier to see than yellow. This has to be the stem of a pea, right? And it can't reach this one without ruining this guy. So it's this pea. And this has to be another. It also has to... No, it can't be the stem. It has to be the bulb or what have you. And I guess if it connected to this one, we'd be stranded. So it goes there. And we get this. Cool. Now, I guess each of these is size 16 of these larger areas. So over here, there's total size 10. No, not 16. What am I saying? 18. Nope, not 18. There's a 5x3 here, which is 15, and then 6 more. Which is 24. So this has to come relatively deep into all of these. Here, it has to take 14 cells. I mean, each of these, clearly these 4 areas are each distinct puzzles, right? You could have just made this a puzzle of its own and had an area here that was like a dead end extending into it, for example. It would be the same. And then just had this be 4 separate puzzles instead of 1. But this is all exploring the same theme. I think it makes sense for it to all be one puzzle. I'm just noting that, yeah, there's no interaction between them. There's no action at a distance like mismatch, where everything has to be a different shape, for example. Then these puzzles would interact with each other. So I guess down here is sort of the most restricted. This S, can it do this? Well, I guess what I mean is, can this be the long end of the S down here? And the answer is maybe? Yeah, actually this works. Right? And then, oops. Then these can merge up. So this area is fine. Here we have to take 11 of the 24, but I don't think that's a useful. This is not a place where total region size is very interesting. I don't think. It was useful here because it was so constrained how purple could get into the region. But here it takes so many cells, and who knows which way it goes, right? I think kind of an issue is, how do we get this to not cut off cells along this edge? Right? If we make it vertical, like, for example, this, there's a million cells cut off. And even if we try to keep it as much along the edge as we can, there's just no way to do it vertically, I think. So, funny as it seems, I wouldn't have guessed this. This actually has to be a horizontal S. It just doesn't look right, you know? But how do you do that without really cutting something off? Like this bottom. Well, okay, who gets this cell? It has to be purple. So that's something, I guess. So maybe we can do this. Does that leave me space to complete this area? I don't think it does, right? Yeah. But if, I mean, how else can this be horizontal? If purple has to go there. I mean, okay, I concluded purple has to get to this cell. I don't dispute that conclusion. Maybe it's unjustified to put this here because maybe purple could go around a long way, but there's clearly not enough space for all these other regions if you do that, right? So I think this was fine. I mean, it looks, this kind of looks very flexible, right? But, because it gets this out of the way of this guy who's having a lot of trouble existing. But, it doesn't actually let this exist. Maybe you could do something like this? Maybe that's a bit better. Yeah, oh, I was wrong. You can do this vertically. Look at that. Okay. Two Fs. Maybe one of them could look like this. And the other could look like that. Yeah, that's perfect. That this is, that's a corner, okay, that's a corner. This looks like all of the completely free starting deductions. Ah, I have precision 4. You should read the rule sets. The thing is, like, most of the rules have representations on the board, right? You look at this board and you see, well, it must have Palisade as a rule, because there's Palisade clues. And it must have Solitude, because we're in the area where you learn about Solitude. But things like Precision and Mismatch and Shape Mingle, they can sneak up on you a bit if you don't actually look over here. Precision 4. Well, this... It can't go that way, because then it can't make up 4 cells without breaking the Palisade, so it has to go this way. Oops, I did the opposite of what I was supposed to do. This can't go there, so this has to, and that's its 4. Who gets here? It has to be one of these two, but this one's a corner. So it has to have at least one cell in addition to the shortest path. Oh, this one can't get here anyway. It's 5 away. I thought it was 4, but it's 5. Okay, so we have to do this. Who gets here? It has to be this guy. So it has to take one of these two, or maybe both, right? Because we could do this, or we could do like that. So I don't know which. This region has to get bigger. It has to go that way. This can't go here because there'd only be space for it to be size 3. So who goes here? Well, of course, it's you. And now this region, and that cell has to go part of this region. This is finished. So that means we have to do this. This cell can only be gotten to by here. We have to do that. Ah! Oh, this is fine. I thought I had to do this, but this region isn't finished, so it can still go there. Good. Well, yes, this was a misclick, but it was correct. A 4. Very small 4. Precision 5. You know, funny enough, with Solitude, you don't actually have to specify the number for precision, right? If you had the mouse cursor covering this up and you couldn't read the number, you could look at the puzzle and say, oh, the number there must be 5, right? Because you know there are 5 regions in a 25-cell grid. Obviously, I'm not saying they should have a separate, oh, it's a precision, but we won't tell you the number rule. But they could. The way these interact has got to be interesting. I can't quite get there. Like, this has to take exactly one of these 2 cells, right? Don't know which. Which means this has to take exactly one of these 2, because it's got to be... No, I guess it could just take both of these. Yeah, that's true. But it has to take at least one, I guess. That's true. So this has to take at least one of these 2. Is that useful? I'm not so sure about that. Well, this cell in the corner Yeah, the corners of the grid are quite constricted, aren't they? Like, what region is this a part of? Not the one next to it, right? Well, I guess it could be. You could do this. But this one, for example... No? I was going to say it has to be part of this region, because this can only have one wall, but... I mean, I guess you could do something like... this? No, you can't. Could you do the same thing in the other direction? No, this you can't do. Because there's no way for this to find a region in time. But I don't think this lets me conclude a specific cell, because it could go up this way and not join here. Or it could join here and go some other way. Well, this... Okay, I think I see something. These three, this little constellation of clues, are connected. This cell, this region, has to take at least one of these two, because this is only allowed to wall off one of them. So maybe like that, for example. But importantly, at least one of these two. That's the point I'm getting at. And this one also has to take at least one of these two. So, at least two of these three cells are taken by these guys, right? Which means for this to get to two more cells, it can take at most one of these, and therefore this. And in fact, the at most twos down here, at most ones, the at least ones have to be exactly one. So this can now, because this has to take one of the, well, this could go here. Yeah, I still don't think this could take both of these cells, right? Correct. Because then this corner has to go here, and this guy's stuck. So this has to take both of these cells, and it does grab this guy here. If this were vertical, I couldn't get both of these cells into a region, could I? I guess I could. Like that. Maybe it's time to revisit this corner. Well, one of the corners anyway. Actually, this one is quite... Yeah, this one, there's an immediate answer. It could reach this cell, or this cell. But the problem is, if it does either of those things, this is strangled. It can't get to 5. So in fact, it has to be this region. Well, okay, who takes this cell? It can't be you, because if you're horizontal, this guy is in a lot of trouble. And no, it, it can't reach any other clue than this one. So that's the shape of this. And this, in order to get to a clue in time, has to go there. Well, it's not totally clear you can draw this, actually. Yeah, maybe you can't. This has to come up, though. This needs 2 more cells, so it can't take just this one. It has to go this way. And now this needs another cell, so it has to come down, and this goes there. Now we can finish the puzzle. Seems like there should be another one in here somewhere, doesn't there? I don't see it. This must be a pretty big region, right? The whole puzzle is 16 plus 9, 25? These are 11. This is a size 14 region. Well, this corner has to be purple because the 6 and the 5 can't reach it. And so does this, right? The 5 can't reach here, and neither can the 6. But for these 2 cells, we can't say that that's true, necessarily. However, since the purple goes here, it cannot go there. And the 6, the blue region, is the only one that can reach here. I don't think I can draw a specific way it gets there. This looks natural, but might not be true. Maybe we have this for some reason, right? So, okay, I see. I guess the issue is now that this cell, it can only take one of these 2 spaces above it, right? So if I want it to fill in this area, it can't take this. So what? Well, the 6 can't reach here. That's the point, I guess. Not what I was saying a second ago. What I said a second ago is true, but not interesting. And the 6 can reach there, so I kind of had briefly ignored that. But if it does, it has to strand this. Because, I mean, it has a path that gets there, but remember we'd said the 6 has to go there. So it can't take these 7 cells. So in order to get here, it would have to strand this one. Which means this goes up, and therefore it doesn't go down. It's the opposite of gravity. Or what goes up must come down. With these guys, what goes up can't come down. Oh, I'm so funny thinking that. Alright, so this has to reach the rest of the puzzle, and it can't do so in this way, because the 6 eventually blocks it off. So it has to come down here, and it can't go there. So it has to do this. And now we see what the 6 does. It's this. Well, these little corner nooks are certainly useful. Oh, I'm stuck on light blue, huh? Who gets here? Has to be you. Oh, this region is finished. I didn't realize it was done. I didn't like middle click the whole region to mark it off. But I ended up noticing that all of the places where it could have expanded, it actually can't. This I guess has to keep going because there are 6 more cells to conquer, and this can only take 1, and this can only take 3. So this has to take 2 more cells. Those 2. Is there something in here? No. Okay. Okay. So this must be a size 45 puzzle. It's interesting because like this is not a meaningfully different puzzle from what we've, you don't need the solitude rules to give you this. They could have given this to me ages ago as a 5 rows windows puzzle with precision 9, right? I wonder how they decided to put it here. Well, there have to be two regions in this area, right? But how they work is quite constrained, because the one that goes here, let's call it green, has to be different from the one that goes here, call it purple, right? But now, there still have to be 2 different regions here and here. I think purple has to be this 9, but I'm not 100% sure yet. Like, maybe you could do this and have... Oh, no. Oh, well, wait. I guess like this, I mean. No, so... So... What's on... Okay. There have to be... Maybe I should have started here instead of here. There have to be 2 different regions on opposite sides of this wall. And this purple, to get to 9 cells, has to make it to at least here. Right? And it's going to have to hug the border to do so, to avoid isolating any border cells. And if it does this, I guess it could do that, that's fine. Oh, it has to get to, right. It has to get to a 9. So it's got to do this. And then this, and that's the only way it can reach a 9. Got it. I think this cell has to be this 9, right? This one clearly can't reach it anymore. This one never could. This one just barely could have if it had gone straight there, but obviously that's not happening. So these 2 9s have to be on opposite sides of this wall. And you can't have like this one come here and this one go there. That's crazy. They would have to cross. So we can say that this 9 goes here. And this one goes here. this one could just reach, and in fact almost has to, doesn't it? It has to go quite far. Okay, and the region that goes here. Sometimes I wonder if I stutter. Does everybody like stumble over words as often as I do? Like I hear stuttering, like I don't know. I don't really know much about it in real life. You know, I'm not a doctor or whatever. The popular media conception of stuttering is that it's kind of like a lack of confidence, and if it bothers you, you'll do it more. And it just doesn't bother me that I do that. You know, is it stuttering? I don't know. I hope nobody tells me, and then I feel bad about it. Anyway, the region that this cell is part of can't be this one. And it can't be this 9, obviously. This 9 would be extremely cramped. So we have to do this. And now this 9's only taken 6 cells. It needs 3 more. So it's got to go there. And it still needs 2 more. It could just barely avoid taking this cell like that. But I don't think that's going to be a good idea. It probably has to come here. So actually, I think I was wrong when I said this 9 has to go there. I thought these 2 were the only ones that could reach this wall, but actually this 9 can reach. And if I have this 9, like, come up here, who's handling all of this, right? You could maybe get some of it, but not all of it. So I think actually this 9 has to go over here and let this 9 handle most of this area. The exact route's not clear, although I think it is this. It leaves just enough space for these 2 9s, right? Oh, wow. Wait. So this wall is also a problem, right? How do I get this 9 on the opposite side of the wall from this 9? We can do this clearly. But then this would have to come down, and now it's full. It can't take these cells. So maybe this 9 has to grab a lot of this area, and this 9 has to come down like here? But now you don't have enough room. So maybe this goes like that. Like that. Doesn't quite work. Oh, it does. And this 9 has to come all the way up here and take that cell. Okay. How are we doing in terms of the big old window? It's like down in the floor or something, isn't it? Where the hell is it down here for some crazy reason? No. 1 more and I'll have made the window gold, I think. Maybe made it metal. I still don't remember how this stuff works. I think I'll just have made it metal, because are there still a bunch of unactivated darker wood ones? No, I think, like, that's this. This is, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Let's do 1 more and see what happens. That's got to go there. This can't be vertical because this 4 needs to take exactly those cells. So we have this. I see. There's going to be a uniqueness thing. I mean, I was kind of wondering when I saw this. Here, let's back up a sec. When I was here, I had this thought, well, gosh, how am I going to decide how these cells are divvied up? The only answer could be if this one were forbidden from going south, because if it goes south, these are going to not have a unique solution. And then I was like, well, how could this have to be unable to go south if it went north? And then you look north and like, well, yeah, of course it has to go up there. But the same thing, happens here, right? This is going to somehow be forced to go this way, because if it went this way, there would be a conflict. But I don't have to actually solve it in that order. But it looks like it's going to happen all around the edge. And that's why. Now I've shown why it's true, but I knew it would turn out to be true somehow. I did, I gilded it. Okay, cool. So, I mean, there's more puzzles I could do in here, but let's move on. There's still a bunch more stuff. I don't know, like, the game doesn't tell you how many puzzles there are until when you get to the end. Maybe it will, I don't know. I saw in the Discord, though, like, I don't really care about this kind of spoiler. You know, someone was asking how many puzzles there are, and someone who was not, like, an employee of the company, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but they said, like, 1.1 thousand. So, I'm, like, almost halfway through after all this time. Leaving a lot of puzzles still to come. Because if we look at... you can't see. Actually, let's go to the main menu. We'll load up my game. It says 487 solved, so that's how many puzzles I've done. And if they're about 1.1 thousand, you know, I'm not halfway through, but I'm close. I don't know that I'll be 100%ing this game on camera. I'm enjoying this. I love the puzzles. And it is more fun to do them on camera, but I don't know if I'll do all of them. Boxy. All regions are rectangular. And precision 3. Well, okay, so you're telling me they're all this shape. I see. Well, that one has to go there. So this is kind of a way to introduce the new rule, Boxy, without making you do any new kinds of logic. You can just take these two rules and say, oh, it's just shape bank of long 3, right? So which way to go? It looks like there are two new ideas, Boxy and... I don't know, this one still says Boxy. Well, this 6 had better be a 3x2. Well, what's on the other side? Non-Boxy. No regions are rectangular. I see. Okay. Boxy Precision 6. They have to be either 3x2s or 6x1s. You can't fit 6x1s in here, so that's a 3x2. Likewise here. This one does have to be a 6x1. This can't be, so it's a 3x2, and then... if it went this way, this cell would be a problem, so it doesn't do that. It goes here. Come on, I'm trying to click on this stupid puzzle. Regions are rectangular mismatch. They all have to have different shapes. How funny. This is a triangular number, I bet? Is this like 15 or 21? It's gotta be one of them, right? 15. 4, 9, 13, 15. It is indeed 15. So, I knew that without counting the regions, because Boxy mismatch means you can only have... well... Boxy mismatch plus the entire grid being this narrow means all you can have is 1x(n)s. And... if you had the simplest thing of like 1x1, 1x2, 1x3, 1x4, 1x5, and so on, you know, at the total area of the region, the puzzle grid, must be a triangular number, which is the number like 1, then 1 plus 2, then 1 plus 2 plus 3, then 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Those are the triangular numbers. This looks bigger than 10 and smaller than 21, so I said, okay, it's probably 15. And I doubt that there's a way to get 15 without using all the numbers 1 through 5, right? I mean, well, sure. More to the point, there's no room for a 6 in this whole puzzle, right? So we need this. This has to be part of a 5, going either up or down. How can I tell which way? If it went up, there'd be a 2 here, a 4, a 1, and a 3. I guess that works. I don't have a clear idea of why. Like how... What would have gone wrong if I had gone this way? I need way too many 2s. But, like, what is it about the geometry of the puzzle that makes that not work? I guess... Of course. It's that if you need this to be a 5 and also to leave space for a 4 somewhere. And if you do this, you can't place a 4. I see. Boxy. Well, we clearly have to do this. And then I guess this. It's so big. There's so many regions. You're telling me there's all rectangles here? Get out of town. This can only reach here. But I can't conclude that it stops here yet. Maybe it has to go here to allow this one to do this for some reason, right? Well, this one does have to do this, but I don't know whether it comes down and takes these cells. I'll end up finding out what happens to these cells somehow, and that'll tell me which of these 2 regions takes here. You can't just go straight down. You have to go over at least 1 to grab either this or something, which means you have to be a straight line. This now has to get here. This guy can only reach this one. And it could go even higher up, I don't know. But now, okay, I said figuring this out is how I would determine what these regions do. But actually, this coming up solved it. This, well, no, it's not. I just know this can't go over. It still could go up. Okay, fine. But now, okay, only one region could reach this cell now. You. So you have to keep going. Who do you meet? It must be this guy. And that's your whole extent. You have to meet here. And look like you probably go further up. Oh, actually, no, you don't. Because this one has to reach somebody, and the only one unaccounted for is you. Whoops, that's incorrect. kind of stupid constraint is this? Okay, sure. They're all squares, bro. I think... Was there a puzzle like this before? Way early on with just Shape Bank? Where you were offered a bunch of shapes, but it turned out that square was the only one you could use. I think there might have been. Anyway, cute joke. Really? Well, you have to go there. Can't reach anyone else. That's this region done. Oh, I've lost already. Okay, try again. Why don't you have to go there, though? You do, right? You can't come up and go over, because then you can't be a box. See? Oh, right. Okay, first of all, can't conclude that. It's because a 1x1 is also a box. So if this goes over, this cell is stuck. So, but we can stop here. And now this must all be connected up, and probably here as well, right? Because a straight line from here doesn't work. Yeah. So this has to come up there. This has to go there. You can only reach this. You can only reach that. You're done, done. Done, done. Oof. The grid is so big and so white, I can barely see these guys. All regions are rectangular, but you're making me draw a bunch of pluses, huh? Very suspicious. So, because these are rectangular, they have to actually be boxes. And I don't know which of them join up yet, right? So I can't draw this wall because, well, okay, I can. I was going to say because, hey, one of them could grow into the other, but that's not true. The union of these two as a square would have to reach this cell, which is already taken. So these are different. So you actually can't extend any further this way, so you have to do it. But this one could extend into the green region. I guess this corner of the grid has to be green, and so this is all green as well. Okay, sure. Wait. Oh, I have solitude. I think I didn't realize I had solitude. And so I was arguing why these guys couldn't join up. But my argument was, oh, well, they couldn't because they would mess with this guy. And I just realized, wait a minute. This whole region could be one giant square. So the argument I made about not joining up was false. You have to notice that solitude is here. And then, of course, you don't even need an argument about why they can't join up. It's just not allowed. Well, this is impossible. No, yeah, pretty impossible. I messed something up here. Let's try again. Now that I know all the rules, maybe it'll be easier. So again, if a region contains these two cells, it has to contain this one as well, because otherwise it can't... Ah, they don't have to be square. Right. I think earlier I was treating them as if they had to be square. They just have to be rectangular. So it's still true that if it has these two, even if these were the corners of a rectangle, yeah, so it has to... These have to be boxes. But they don't have to be squares. No, actually, no. I don't think I was making them squares earlier. So... Maybe one of them I did something squarish. I don't know. This... Maybe I hadn't... Maybe the puzzle wasn't even broken when I stopped. I think it was, though. So, like, the guy here, right? I mean, it has to be part of this region. It can't go all the way down here because it can't become a rectangle if it does. So, like, we have this. And therefore this. So this region is done. We gotta go there. The only region that can get these cells is this purple one, so it's done. The only region that can get these cells is green. Hey. So it's done. Now only purple can go up here. Only pink can go there, so pink is done. Okay, yeah, click, there you go. So I don't know that, I don't know exactly what false assumption I made there that led me to get stuck. Maybe it was about squares, I don't know. Boxy, well that rectangle has to be like this. Not true. We don't have solitude, it could do this. I've been so solitudinous recently. Well, solitary, I guess, is the right word. But wouldn't solitudinous be a cool word? This cell has to be a rectangle, but it can't, so it can't join up here. It could be a 1, for all I know, but it could be a 2 or a 3 as well. Yes, I know, it has to join one of its neighbors. Oh, well, no. I was about to say, oh, if this is Boxy, it's gotta be square. But no, it could join up here. It can't, actually. Because if it does, no rectangles can get up here. Because this would have to stop, right? So, it does not join with this region. It is complete here. Yeah, so, like, what region can get to this cell? Only this one, right? And what regions can get to here? Well, it looks like it could be this one, but not if it's going to be a rectangle that also has a corner here, right? Every corner palisade has to be at least 2 by 2 in a Boxy world. That's interesting. So this can't be a 1 by 3. It has to join and give us this. This is a 2 by 2, so this can't be. It has to do that. And now we fit our 1 by 3 and our 1 by 2. These are... These... So I've made arguments about these next to each other before, right? It can only have... Each of these can have at most one wall from, like, this area, right? So I can't have both. I can't have both of these for either of them. So each of them has to extend into at least one of these 2 cells. And if either of them extended into both of them, then they would merge, which is illegal because of solitude. So in fact, they do both do this. They have to go the other way. And then because they're Boxy, they have to do this. The only region that can get to here now is U. this has to take one of these two cells, right? But it can't take both because it couldn't be a rectangle. It has to go that way. And then this one has to go this way. This is the cute little trick they're teaching me. Is how these regions chain when they're boxy. And because they're rectangular, they actually have to go even further. They have to complete like this. And that should be extremely... That should lead to some very strong conclusions. You have to grab these, and you're done. You have to grab these. This already has a wall, so it's got to come up. And then there's a wall here. These now have to be gotten this way. That's got to go there because it got a wall. This is done. This has a wall, so it can't have any more. And now it has to be the one that comes down here. It's got to go there. It needs no more walls. I like that. That taught me a useful lemma of a sort. This is a 6. I mean, I'm probably going to struggle with it this early into my boxy career. But I'll see what can be done. Alright, I give up. Can't do anything more, clearly. Well, no, I mean, this has to do that, because no one else can reach this cell. So we have this. Likewise here, and here. And this wall here is really important, actually, because it means this can't be any wider than 3. So, like, who gets to this cell? Oh. I was going to say it has to be you, but I guess technically you could do it. No, because you need to be a corner. You have to go this way or this way, and then you can't be box-shaped. So it is you. That means that's a wall. Okay. This can't take both of these 2 cells. So it has to take at least one of these. But I don't know that I can really do anything with that. Who's here? It has to be you, right? We don't have anything else narrow enough to reach. Now who's here is kind of interesting. But I can't necessarily conclude anything quite as strong. But who's here, I can. I can say it has to be you. Because this, it could reach all this way down and be Boxy, but not also be a corner. It has to extend to the left or the right, just like we had over here. So this region goes there, and that's the corner. Which is, I mean, stupendous, right? Who reaches in here? Only you. You got to handle this whole area. And that's your entire extent. So you have to come in here. And that's your entire extent. And there's kind of a domino effect going on here where, like, these cells kind of look like they're being fought over between these two. Maybe this one comes in, and in that case, this has to go up. But maybe this one comes down, but in that case, it can't go up. So, like, whether this one goes up or down determines what happens here. And that depends on which way this one goes, right? So if I can figure out which way this one goes, I'll solve what's going on down here. And I suspect that extends all the way out to here, probably. Yeah, I mean, look, this... Yeah, now I know what has to happen. Because what about this cell? No one can reach it. You look like you can, but you gotta be a corner. Sorry. You can't reach it. No one else can, so it's gotta be you. And now this can't go any further down. So I have this. And who's reaching here? Only you. Well, who's reaching this cell? It's gotta be you. And you can't reach any further, because this one needs to be a corner. It's gotta go like this. Yeah, no problem. Uh-oh. Hang on. No, I'm fine. I just have to do this instead. Whew. Yeah, I like how I handled this one. I mean, you know, 6s are tough. I've spent a lot longer on 6s than this one. There have been some 6s I've handled pretty well, and I think this was one of them. I think that must have been the intended, not necessarily 100% solution path. There are probably, you know, you could have done A before B, and I did B first or whatever, but like the overall idea, I think, that I had is kind of has to be how you approach that. I have no idea how long I've been recording, as usual for Artisan of Glimmith. So I think I will take the opportunity to say, look, we got this window all lit up. Let's take a break here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.